This is a frightening story of a girl who was alone at home one night, for the first time. She has a dog to keep her company. The girl listens on the news about a serial killer on the loose. She goes to sleep after locking all the doors and windows but for one, which doesn't close. Suddenly, she is awakened by a dripping sound. Scared thoroughly, she tries to go back to sleep and puts her hand down the bed for a reassuring lick from her dog. As the dripping sound continues, she goes to check on the taps in the kitchen, bathroom, and everywhere else but finds nothing. She returns to her bedroom and puts the hand down again for the dog to lick. The dripping sound continues, and the girl is too frightened to fall asleep. But as her hand gets licked from under the bed, she slowly falls asleep. In the morning, when she opens the closet, she finds her dog killed and hanged upside down. The dripping sound was from the dog's blood. On the closet doors, she sees a message: humans can lick too. Two best friends, Meg and Samantha, live in the same room of the college dormitory. Samantha goes out for a party with her date, while Meg stays back to study for the upcoming midterm exam. When Samantha returns from the party, lights are all turned off. She does not switch on the lights as her friend is asleep. Early in the morning, Sam tries to wake Meg up to discuss the exams. As Meg doesn't respond, Sam hesitantly uncovers her face to wake her up. She gets horrified to discover Meg's face turned black and blue, and falls on the floor in a state of shock. She observes that Meg's study table was all messed up, and finds a creepy note on the wall. "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" The murderer must have very much been in the room when Sam came the previous night. This next eerie story is about a man driving home late in the night when he spots a girl asking for a hitchhike. The pretty girl is dressed in a beautiful white dress. The man offers her a ride, and they strike up an interesting conversation. He drops the girl at her home. Next day, while driving for work, he notices that the girl by accident has forgotten her sweater in his car. He drives towards her home to hand over the sweater. An old lady opens the door when he rings the bell. He narrates the incident which occurred last night and gives the sweater to the lady. The lady refuses to accept it, saying he is mistaken. The man is surprised and questions the lady again. He is dumbstruck and left in an unsettling situation when the lady says her daughter died in a car accident a couple of years ago. Teenage couple is in a deserted lover's lane, making out in their car. After a short while, the radio stops to announce alarming news that a convicted serial killer just escaped from the asylum. People are asked to report to the police if they see a strange-looking man with a hook on the hand. The girl is frightened and requests the boy to rush home immediately. The boy initially disagrees and tries hard to convince his date to stay, but eventually, they both head back. When they arrive at the girl's house, she gets down and tries to close the car door, but it won't close. She freezes as she sees a hook suspending from the doorknob. A young man repeatedly gets a nightmare that he is visiting a friend's house, whose family is weird. The malevolent mother of his friend Mrs. Stone allots a dreadful room in a huge tower for him to retire. His nightmare repeats, but keeps varying every night, and the characters in the dream keep growing over the years. In his dream, one day Mrs. Stone expires and she is buried, but she still keeps assigning the same room to him. In the young man's normal life, his friend Clinton invites him for dinner one day. He is surprised to see that everything matches with the nightmare, but the personalities and names are different, and he has an enjoyable experience. Due to a thunderstorm warning, Clinton's mother advises him to stay with the family that night and allots a room that is similar to the one he sees in his nightmares. He is shocked at the resemblance. In the room, he finds a very old painting of Mrs. Stone. With the help of Clinton, he moves the painting to the hall. They are amazed to see their hands covered in blood, even though neither of them is injured. They go to bed, but the young man is unable to fall asleep and wake up in horror to find Mrs. Stone, standing on the top of his bed. She tells him that she is a vampire and is here to turn the young man also into a vampire. They get into a fight and he manages to escape. When he rushes out of the room, Clinton comes out hearing the commotion. They discover that the portrait is back on the wall in his room. They get scared and flee away. An old newspaper carries the news that Mrs. Stone's coffin keeps erupting every day and has to be reburied.